So, Michael Mann's Public Enemies. From the director of Thief, Manhunter, Heat, Last of the Mohicans, The Insider and Collateral, Mann is certainly a director you keep an eye out for, and he's one of my favourite filmmakers. With that being said, his filmography isn't perfect. Ali was okay but flawed. I never liked Miami Vice. I don't remember much about it except that it had no kick to it. Blackhat, his most recent film at the time of this video, is completely forgettable and highly suggests Mann's best days are past him. We'll see what Ferrari has in store for us, but slap bang in the middle of Miami Vice and Blackhat is Public Enemies. Public Enemies is probably my poster child for the phrase not as good as it should have been. Didn't live up to the hype, a squandered opportunity, should have been better, all hype no delivery. Take your pick from these cliches. It is a decent movie, but it's just that. Alright, it's okay, it's completely average. And because of the talent involved, you cannot help but feel shortchanged with the underwhelming experience that seeing this film is. It had everything. Imagine being told that Michael Mann is making a movie on a legendary 1930s bank robber. I mean, the bank robbery is at the very least what everybody remembers about Heat. Imagine an entire movie about bank robberies. Then you have the cast. The characters involved, like Pretty Boy Floyd and Babyface Nelson. You have Michael Mann at the helm of the story. The themes, the time period, the costumes, the hats, the Tommy guns. So it's almost stunning when you finish the film, fidget awkwardly in your seat a little bit until you face the cold, hard reality. Now, this movie was pretty boring. How could a movie with all it had be so dry and dull? And not only that, in spite of the names involved, the film has seemingly faded into obscurity. I never hear people bring it up when they talk about Michael Mann. They even mention Miami Vice or Blackhat to show how far the quality of his films have fallen. But Public Enemies leaves such little impact, you forget it exists. I don't see it on any list of any, say, top 50 modern gangster movies or even top 10 worst. Maybe it's because it's just so bang average it doesn't stick out in memory. Well, it does stick out in one way, with something we have to talk about. As Michael Mann fans will know, with Ali, Mann started to dabble with digital cinematography. I wonder if there is any link to his love for digital with his decline as a quality filmmaker. Whether he was so focused on making weird-looking movies with his new cameras, he lost focus on fundamentals like story and plot. Because this is also where his filmography started to nosedive after such an impressive 1990s decade. With that being said, Collateral was a great film, but when Mann returned in 2009 with Public Enemies, I just found myself asking, what the hell is going on with the cameras in this film? I want to preface this criticism by saying I know that at the time, Hollywood was still getting to grips with digital cinematography, and you have to credit Mann for going all out and trying something different. But the bloody digital cameras they used made the film look so weird. It looked like a documentary or behind the scene B-roll footage. This is the film that cemented the idea for me that unless the filmmaker is going for a particular style, all period movies should be shot on film. Because that's another problem. It's not just the digital, the frame rate and the jittery nature of the camera, but when you couple that with the fact that you're supposed to be in the 1930s, it just doesn't work. I never feel like I've been transported back to that time. Not when everyone looks like they're rehearsing for a costume drama and you can see the makeup about to peel off the face of the actors. I feel like Mann shot himself in the foot with this one. It's a deliberate creative choice that has reduced his $80 million picture to looking like a cheap made-for-TV film with haphazard lighting. I mean, seriously, sometimes an actor is speaking and his face is covered in shadow for no reason. The camera is in weird places, and it's all hard to get used to. The style is novel and different, but like I said, I'm never convinced I'm in the 1930s. The muzzle flash on the guns look great though. I appreciate Mann wanted to differentiate from the look of other gangster films, and I believe the word he used was hyper-realistic for his method. But if the movie was made in a more conventional style, I think the film would have instantly been improved. In fact, there are scenes where the jittery camera is toned down, and those are some of the most engaging scenes because you can now focus on the story and characters. Otherwise, the movie ends up looking like Michael Mann's production was hijacked by the guys who made the Blair Witch Project. Speaking of story and characters, I don't know, man. Public Enemies doesn't offer the excitement and thrill you came to expect. Production values are solid, there's some decent shootouts. Mann briefly tries something about criminals who are self-aware of their public persona and their image, and it factors into their decision making. About the allure of the criminal lifestyle, the glorification from the public, the women who get swept up in the romanticism, and all that stuff was interesting, but they only really scratched the surface. And ultimately, the movie is quite simply boring. It's dry, none of the performances really stood out aside from maybe Depp. The side characters were not interesting, you don't remember their names. It felt like Mann was trying to do the whole De Niro Pacino thing in Heat, the focus on the cop and the criminal, but it doesn't quite work. I mean, Christian Bale is nowhere near as developed as Pacino's character in Heat. In fact, it does share many similar story beats to Heat, right down to the opening action scene in Heat where Wangro kills a guard and De Niro is furious. And in this film, something very similar happens in the opening prison escape. The movie is now more interesting for me as an adult, knowing the historical context, knowing who, for example, J. Edgar Hoover is. However, the more historical context you know, the more disappointed in the film you get, because you think to yourself, for such a stickler for detail, why is Mann's movie so loose with the truth? Why are so many interesting aspects from Dillinger's life not in the film? Why do Floyd and Nelson die before Dillinger when they both outlived him? I don't want to get into the historical inaccuracies here, but the way Public Enemies went about its business and what it chose to focus on is alarming when you learn more about the real-life history. Speaking of the other gangsters, they should have been in it more. Babyface Nelson, played by Stephen Graham, was particularly electric and pumped some life into the film, but he was hardly in it. The other gangsters should have had a bit of spotlight, as they appear to be quite interesting individuals, and it would have made more sense of the film's name, as it really should have been called Public Enemy, or Public Enemy No. 1, not Public Enemies, as it's so focused on Dillinger. Bale is kind of a non-entity. He squints his eyes a lot, but he's not very compelling. Depp gives the better performance between the two. His natural charisma comes through to present the character's coolness, but it's not entirely Bale's fault. His character is not developed, but unfortunately he is one of the few actors who it's obvious is doing an accent. With the other actors, it does come off as more natural. I don't feel Public Enemies knows what it wants to be. Is it a meticulous and intricate study of the early FBI's ways, which was actually one of the more interesting aspects of the film? Or is it a character study of Dillinger and his robberies? Or a doomed romantic Bonnie and Clyde-esque epic? The Dillinger bank stuff was good but undercooked. At times it felt like the movie wanted to rush through the bank robberies and just get them over and done with. And this is from the director of Heat. Very little is actually shown in terms of planning, and there's no tension. The handful of robberies just happen. The romance just felt stiff. The movie could have juggled the FBI, Dillinger and his crime spree, and the romantic stuff, but it needed a better script and more focus to do so. But I imagine a scene in my head where Bale approaches Mann on set with 10 questions about his character motivations, but Mann is busy tinkering with his camera. When Public Enemies was over, I felt like I know in a general sense what John Dillinger did, if even that, but not who he was. Sorry to bring up Heat again, but I felt like I knew those characters. I felt like if I put Hannah or Neil in a room with other characters, I'd know what they might say, how they might react. I don't really get that at all with any character in Public Enemies. And what I imagine is supposed to be the most intense moment of the film, Dillinger's death, is marred by the absolutely ridiculous CGI blood that comes out of his face. It looks so fake. And in the mid to late 2000s, Martin Scorsese's The Departed comes to mind. A lot of crime films were using digital blood effects instead of squibs, with damaging results. In the end, Public Enemies is just an okay film. Acceptable, solid, but there is always the lingering feeling it should have been so much better. If anything, it made me kind of sad, because it was the movie which confirmed for me that Michael Mann, like so many great crime movie directors like Brian De Palma and Francis Ford Coppola, was now past it, if he couldn't even achieve success with this material. So what did you think of Public Enemies? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to suggest which film you would like to see get the retro review treatment next, and thanks for watching.